Hi everyone, comic book reviewer here. This time reviewing on the 2007 film Bratz Fashion Pixiez. Now, Bratz Fashion Pixiez is meant to be a 2007 computer animated film that was based on the Bratz Fashion Pixiez toy line. And I would say Fashion Pixiez is like what would happen if Bratz did their own version of Winx and Winx Club. And keep in mind that, when basically Winx Club as well as Winx came, a lot of people try to capitalize on the idea and making their own similar version. And I would say Fashion Pixiez has a good idea, but it feels like there is some wasted potential. And keep in mind, since this was done in Canada, a lot of the voice cast from Rock Angels, as well as the first season of the Bratz TV show, were replaced with a totally different cast. And keep in mind, since production in that was changed in Canada, a lot of voice cast members were pretty much changed. For example, Britt McKibben was pretty much the voice of Chloe, and was also known for doing the voice of Sabrina in Sabrina's Secret Life. And also when you had Jade, she was pretty much voiced by Britt Levin, who was also known for doing voice work in X-Men Evolution as X-23, and Ursula in George of the Jungle. So I would say that it does remind me a bit like what happened with the Powerpuff Girls reboot, replacing the three original voice actresses for the Powerpuff Girls with basically a new set of cast. And I would say Fashion Pixiez is like wasted potential, but there is some good ideas. So the premise of the film is meant to follow the Bratz girls, who kind of notice how one of their classmates, known as Sabrina, has been acting weird. And we kind of see how a new transfer student known as Lena seems to be behind it. And of course, this is where we do kind of see how the Bratz girls are now drawn into the world of magic and learn about pixies and other magical creatures. And again, this is a good idea. And I kind of think some of the characters do work, and some of them do have some good ideas. For example, I think the point of Lena is meant to be kind of like a corrupting influence or a kind of negative force. I think a character works, but I think it's just thrown in without any real reason. And I kind of think when you kind of got Brianna, who is meant to be the younger sister to Sabrina, I kind of think her character works, but I think the way she's sort of thrown in is just another character with no real reason. And it also kind of feels like the film is way too rushed quickly and doesn't really take time to kind of set the tone of the story. And again, I like the idea that you do kind of see other sort of side with the Bratz storyline. And I like that they do kind of put Bradine and the Tweevils under the rug and focusing on something different. And one, I think Lena could have been worked more if she was kind of meant to have been corrupted by dark magic and became a shell of her former self. And again, when I did work on my Winx reboot, I actually made one of the villains in Arc 3, Eri, as well as Cedric, to be counterparts. Like Eri originally being the protector of Arkanda before moving to Earth after sort of wanting to know more about Earth, and Cedric being corrupted and becoming a shell of his former self. I also think, there's also some characters I think that are thrown in. Like, they kind of have this garden elf who's kind of just there. And I think when you kind of got Brianna and her sister's mum, I think they could have had it that she gave her life to stop Lena at the cost of her own. This really could have shown them dealing with the fact of loss and trying to move on. And I kind of think you could have had their father still trying to play this important role of the family, but but instead would have been mortal. I think there is a good idea. I just think there was a lot of things that felt like out of place, or it's just like the writers were told they had to kind of focus on what they were told they needed to do. And I know since the later half of the movies and even the second season no longer used Cameron anymore, it just felt like Dylan was just thrown in to be the Roger to the series, or the Bulk and Skull. The problem is, I think without Cameron sort of being the voice of reason, or being the mature one, Dylan was just kind of thrown in as the box man to the group, and really just didn't really serve much of a purpose afterwards. Again, a comical character can work, or a side character, if they are done carefully. I think the problem is, I think Fashion Pixies was trying to cash in on the success of Witch and Winx Club. I just think was handling it the wrong way. And I think the problem with 62 minutes, it seems like there was some good ideas, and it seemed like a lot of it was just thrown at the wrong reason. I think to me, Fashion Pixies is like a stench of bad fashion sense. While there is a good idea deep down, it's just not going to be something I would always go back to. I think Rock Angels worked because it made sense. It seems like with Genie Magic and other films, it was trying to change a bit too much of the status quo. So I think this film definitely deserves a thumbs down. While there is a good idea, I just think a lot of things were rushed, not really taking time to breathe, or giving characters any tragic or kind of moving on from an experienced storyline. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.